Hey there, everybody. Welcome to our new Only Murders in the Building video, or should I say Only Theories in the Building. We do these during the week. You know, we all need a little bit of more Only Murders content in our lives, and there's clearly about 1 billion things to talk about right now. And, you know, who better to bring on to do an Only Theories in the Building discussion than, you know, a future star of the Brazos reboot here, just judging from the background alone. You know, TV Talks with Tom is here. Tom, how's it going?
It is going so good. I am very excited to be here. I am very excited to be part of the new Brazos reboot. It's all good news all around, so I'm very happy to be here, you guys.
Welcome to the channel. We're really happy to have you here. For those of you who don't know Tom, TV Talks with Tom, it's such a fun channel. You run such a fun channel. It is a bunch of Big Brother live feed updates, which is something that we used to do here at the channel. We haven't been doing it this season. That's how we know Tom. And also you started a new channel, a reaction channel, which is Culture Cocktail, and it's music, movies, trailers, TV. We will have links for you guys with that down below.
Yeah, definitely check that out. I mean, the Big Brother coverage has been awesome. You know, mentally, I needed to take a break from Big Brother, but Tom is doing that. He is killing it. And, you know, speaking of killing, you know, see, sometimes there's a transition that just pops up and you don't realize you're going to do it going into the video. Here we are, everybody.
That was a 10 out of 10. I got
that was good. That was an 11 out of 10. That was a brilliant transition.
Okay, so let's start with the biggest sort of cliffhanger of this last episode. And I know a lot of people are like, it's the blackout. It's not. It's that photo that was found in Glitter Guy's bag of Lucy and Charles. And something I didn't mention in this last video, but I'm going to mention here, is if you take a look at that photo and how it's folded and where it's creased right down Lucy's face. And you can actually see the part that's not creased is Charles. And I did say in the last video that I think that this photo is sort of there to kind of throw people off, to be like, oh, Lucy's in the foreground and Charles is in the background. But the more you really like look at this photo, this is about Charles.
I think you're right. And I've seen a lot of people online and yourself saying that the person who could have hold of that photo is Charles's dad, and I think that is very possible, because he obviously would want a photo of his son. It would make total logical sense, and it kind of leaves because the way they kind of made it seem was like, you know, Lucy was a target in that situation, at the fact that when Charles called her at the end from the diner and, you know, he was like, where are you, Lucy? And Lucy was like, I'm here. Then the blackout happened. It makes it look, I think it's a red herring. I think it's to throw us off and make us think that Lucy is the person that is the involved with this picture. But really, I think the truth therein lies is the fact that Charles is actually the main feature of that picture, and it's his dad that has the picture.
Yeah, I did mention in the last video that I think that Charles's dad is still alive. We haven't gotten that much information about Charles's dad. Just Charles has said that his dad is dead, but he, you know, who knows? Maybe he was told that his father is dead. And now I've seen the comments and that there's people out there like, Charles's dad would be like in his 90s. Correct. He would be in his 90s. So is it possible that he could be the killer and this physical? Yes. If they have the right casting, like a Clint Eastwood or a Gene Hackman, someone who is in their 90s, are still doing movies and punching people in the face like Clint Eastwood just did, cry macho. And in the trailer, he's riding a horse. He's, you know, chasing people around. He's getting into physical fights with people. I don't think anyone's going to blink an eye if Clint Eastwood shows up and he's Charles's dad and he killed somebody.
Let's also remember Clint Eastwood was in The Mule, where he was a drug mule. I'm just gonna say it. I've never seen The Mule. I just know the SNL sketch that they did about The Mule during Weekend Update, and that's just like the thing that warms my heart here. So Clint Eastwood, this is really pop. I'm Clint Eastwood. Is that a Clint Eastwood impression?
I'll take that.
Okay.
Yeah, that's pretty good. Yeah, that's good.
Well, okay. See, we have the Charles is dad part of this, and I think
Mhm.
there's a good case of that. We've also seen, some discussion points like, could Charles have a secret brother? Could he have someone else in the family? But I just got to say at this point, the dad theory is just more fun because you get the opportunity to cast like this A++ list actor.
Paul Rudd is supposed to be in this season and we haven't seen him yet. So
Yeah.
I understand why there's smoke around the idea that maybe Charles has a half brother out there. But for me, I just got to say, if they just decide at the very end to be like, it's the half brother that we haven't given you any clues for all season long, I'm going to be really disappointed in that. Because the great thing about this show, which I think is why it's so fun to talk about, is that we can figure it out.
Yeah, exactly. I too would be incredibly disappointed if that was what was to happen at the end, because I feel like introducing the killer in the final couple of episodes would be a major letdown. I think the beauty of last season was the fact that, we'd seen Jan around since, I don't know, episode 4 or something like that.
Yeah.
So it was kind of like we knew the killer by the time the big reveal happened. So if, don't get me wrong, I absolutely adore Paul Rudd. He's fantastic. But if they introduced him in the final couple episodes and then they said Paul Rudd's the killer, it'd be a bit of a letdown, I kind of think. But moving back onto, the idea of somebody in their 90s being a killer, I think it's very feasible. Like what you said about someone like Clint Eastwood there. That's, again, that would be amazing. But also, let us remember, this is Steve Martin and Martin Short. It's comedy. So I feel like having a killer in the 90s would also kind of have some comedic effect to it and be all the more amazing, And I've kind of got an idea about season 3, not to jump too far ahead right now.
Let's get into it.
I kind of think that the storyline that's going on with Oliver and Teddy being the father of Will, I think that's setting up the killer for season 3. I think Teddy is going to be the person who is killed. I think he's going to be murdered, and I think it's going to be Oliver who gets framed, and that'll lead us perfectly into season 3, where all of a sudden again the trio are under fire and people are thinking that they were to blame for Teddy's death.
I think
that is good.
That's brilliant, because this is the funniest thing is I was thinking something kind of similar in the sense of like, okay, they're going to have to kill somebody else at the end of this because apparently everyone affiliated with the Arconia has to die. Like season 11 is just going to be them wandering around in an empty building. But like, I thought, I was thinking, okay, they want to have somebody obviously die in the building. It's going to stir up discussion. They want to have somebody who people, let's be honest here, who people hate, because that means there's like 200 different suspects. There's a lot of people who probably want Tiny Dimas dead. I was like thinking, are they going to off Cinda Canning in the building? And then all of a sudden it's like high profile figure going to bring a lot of attention to the Arconia. There's clearly a lot of people who are going to want Cinda, who are going to want Cinda dead. And that's going to obviously throw more suspicion. Could they kill their podcast rival for more clicks? And it's like on the surface, this seems really dumb, but it's like, this sounds like something that would happen and end up on like Dateline or like one of these true crime shows like a week later after the fact.
No, and that makes sense. I always sort of wondered how long they were going to be able to keep Tina Fey anyways.
Yes,
she's busy.
It seems though that they get a lot of people from SNL coming over, which is fantastic. I just need to put this out there. I want Amy Poehler on. She is the one I want to see on the next season. I think it's fantastic, and seeing Tina and Amy together would be awesome. But I think it's weird because I think we're so used to seeing Tina be the comedy person, and don't get me wrong, she is being funny, but seeing her play a villain is very, very kind of different to what we are used to seeing. And I've got to say she plays it very, very well. She I think after that one episode that we saw where it was a deeper dive into Cinder and Poppy, I hated Cinda Canning after the end of the episode. Love Tina Fey, hate Cinda Canning. So I feel like there's a fine line in the middle of those two. And I think again the storyline wants us to believe that Cinda potentially had something to do with it because of how cruel her character is. But again, I think the beauty of this show is the fact that I think every single episode change your ideas on who you think the killer is. And not only once an episode, probably about 16 times an episode, you are going, that person's the killer, that person's the killer. Oh my God, I was totally wrong. It's not this person. And then you're like, oh my God, is it Paul Rudd? Is it, and you're going around and around and around. No, it's Clint Eastwood, so that's the beauty of this show. It's, you never know what's going to happen until the last episode when they actually reveal what's going to happen. And I am just absolutely in love with it.
Yeah, Cinda's a really sort of interesting suspect on this altogether, just because when we first saw the trio getting arrested and coming out of the Arconia, Cinda and Poppy were there. And I was like,
there, yeah.
Why are you guys here? You don't live in the neighborhood. You don't live in the Arconia. How would you possibly know that this is going down? Because it went down so fast. When they got that text message, Charles and Oliver, the cops were already on their way.
And that is a perfect transition here into theories. I am pleased to report, and I think this is the third time that I've said this season, I have figured it out, everybody. I have cracked the case. Right. You don't need to watch any more of the show.
Who is the killer, Matt?
Okay, this is technically it's a three-person job here. Now, some of this is, your idea of Charles's dad is, of course, ringing very, very large in my ears at the moment. And I do tend to think that he may very well involved. However, I am also not willing to let go of my obsession with Jared, who I do not like, Nina's husband or whoever he is. He's just like, I think this guy just is like really triggering for me for whatever reason, because he feels like he would like stuff me into a locker in high school or something. He looks like a guy who just bought a boat. He just looks like he's too elitist for me. I do not like this guy. I think this guy, he's clearly got a financial motive for wanting to do this. He wants to reshape the Arconia with this weird bubble thing on the top of it. And so Charles's dad, he needs a man on the inside, right? We don't know where he is. He may not be probably not living in the Arconia. And so here we have Jared, who knows Nina, obviously. Nina knew Bunny. He can kind of know the ins and outs of the building. He can sort of do maybe a little bit of the dirty work. Like maybe he is the actual killer, but not the string puller. But then you've got Alice, slightly attached to all of this. Maybe I'm going really. Hey, I'm going here. Alice is not the killer. I will make that very clear. Alice is not the killer. Alice just forged the art piece.
100%.
The art piece is involved here. I think Alice is an unknowing accomplice to this crime, where she may not realize how deep she is, or she realizes now she's in too deep, but there's no way that she can get out of it, even though she's also still busy betraying Mabel and doing like terribly creepy art installations on the side. There you have it. Case closed. Thank you guys. I'll see you later. No.
Oh, all right. I'm all over the place with it. Like when this first started, I thought it was Charles's dad is still alive. I said that in like our first video. It's like, he's still alive. It's something to do with this painting. There's a secret in this painting. Like either it is the painting, something about him that's going to give something about him away that he wants kept secret. Like, yeah, maybe Bunny is his kid, and that it could be that, or there's something in the painting, hidden in the painting, that he needs to get his hands on, and that's it. But then for the longest time, I have been stuck on the idea that it's the gut milk lady, Ursula, because this joke of gut milk has been going on for 2 seasons straight. However, there's a financial motive. The first season, she was making money. She had Oliver paying her for information about Tim Kono. And then this season, she shows up again. She's like, not only are you paying me for information, but Cinda is also paying me for information. So she's making extra money. So it would make sense that she'd be like, oh, now that Tim Kono's all wrapped up, nobody's paying me anymore. Someone else needs to die. And she's had some issues with Bunny. So, but now I'm back to Charles's dad again. I really think that they are going to want a bit of a deeper motive than money, but I could be wrong. I mean, money's a pretty good motive. All right, Tom, what do you think?
money is a good motive, but I feel like when it comes to a good old murder mystery, sometimes something more than money is often a more enticing storyline, I think, to watch. Although having the gut milk as the motive would be incredibly hilarious. That would be just brilliant on so many levels. But I am kind of on the side of things where I think. And again, I'm not 100% on this because that's the beauty of this show. I feel like you are constantly going back and forth on what's happening. But and I've got my notes down here. I've came prepared, right? So
there we go.
I think that glitter guy and the killer and the person who was in the hallway that went to see Lucy, or was in the hallway where Lucy was, I think that's 3 different people. I don't think, and So I kind of only started to think that last night when I thought about it a bit more. But I think basically, if you notice, and actually I stole this off online somewhere. I saw somebody had put this somewhere, and I was like so convinced that what they had said was true.
Mm-hmm.
Lucy was on floor 14, which is where Charles is on.
Yep.
And Bunny and Mabel are both on floor 7, right?
Yeah.
And when we heard the scream from Bunny, all of a sudden, within probably about 5 seconds, somebody was in that hallway where Lucy was. There's no way somebody could have gotten up 7 floors in 5 seconds. So I think there's somebody different that was in that hallway there, and maybe they were in the wrong place at the wrong time, and the killer maybe made out elsewhere and was, stuck on floor 7 or whatever. But I do not think, unless we've got some kind of superhero Avenger that has joined Only Murders in the Building, I don't think that somebody could have made it up 7 floors in
it's definitely not a 91-year-old.
Exactly. It's a Clint Eastwood didn't do it in that time, and it's certainly not Dick Van Dyke, so that's that didn't happen. And Glitter Guy, I think, is something to do with potentially Cinder Canning, although I'm not fully convinced. I think because with Glitter Guy, I think there's more of the motive of understanding information about the case rather than covering something up. Although again, I'm constantly going backwards and forwards. Even at one point I was convinced Saz could be involved, because we know that Saz is looks incredibly similar to Charles Hayden Savage, being the stunt double. So that's a reason to put the two together. And she was very close with Jan, and she could be seeking revenge, because Jan obviously was sent away by the trio.
Yeah.
And let me just check my notes again, folks, because I've got more. Don't worry. So I do think that with her being a stunt double, times might be tough in the industry sometimes with the money coming in. Yeah. So maybe it would make sense for her to, get Charles some more publicity by getting the podcast getting built up again. And already Brazos has got the reboot. And, as a result, Saz is getting more work from it. There's definitely motive there. There's motive for everyone, I guess. But I mean, that's just a few things that I've put together with Saz. And I think if you notice, Glitter Guy, it has a very tall and thin build. Yeah. Saz also has that very tall and thin build. But then again, I saw the hands on the locker, and it looked like very manly hands, which I don't think Saz has. Maybe Detective Krebs. I feel like I'm just like throwing loads of things together into this melting pot right now. But I'm very convinced that I think the 3 are guilty of being, well, not necessarily guilty, but being involved with Glitter Guy, Killer, and the person in the hallway. Saz, Detective Krebs, and Charles's dad. And Alice is in there somewhere as well. I don't know. I feel like I'm listing the whole cast right now. But yes, those 4. I am suspicious of those 4.
No, and that makes sense for what you were saying about Glitter Guy being connected to Cinda, because they were going there specifically to get the matchbook. So what I had wondered is if that person is Poppy. And the reason why is because I wondered if Poppy was setting up Mabel to sort of be framed for this whole thing, because only Charles and only Oliver were warned as the sirens were coming to get out of the building. And then all of a sudden, Poppy and Cinda are downstairs. I'm just like, what? Okay, no. So then all of a sudden, they're texting with the killer or Glitter Guy. And then they were kind of like, okay, bring us this matchbook kind of thing. So they know that they've left something, which then makes sense that it's more about, we need to get more evidence for our own podcast. We need to get more evidence to just cover up what we've done kind of thing. We need to get it back.
See, when we talk about as well, the idea of tall people. I like to think I'm an expert in tall people. I'm really not. I'm just like 6'1".
You tall. You
Okay,
ain't
no.
6'1". Why you
Okay, I'm like
lying,
6'2".
man?
I don't know. Somewhere in that
Oh,
range.
you are taller
All right.
than that with
See-
your size 15
Okay, we don't
shoes.
need to bring up my shoe size. No, it's a pain in the butt, everybody. Nobody ever has my
It's true.
shoes. No, okay. See, you bring up Michael Rappaport,
Mhm.
really tall dude, fits the glitter guy description really well. So Detective Krebs works. Sass,
Mhm.
tall person. Clint Eastwood. I know we're all talking right now as Clint Eastwood is officially cast on the show, but Clint Eastwood, also very tall person. Jared seems to fit that build. You know who doesn't fit this build?
The gut milk lady.
The
Oh
gut-
no,
no,
my
see-
theory.
Also,
It's disintegrating.
no.
Sorry,
First of all,
Jess.
where is my gut milk? Hulu, send me the gut milk. If it's this big a deal, I want to try it. Also, who doesn't fit this bill? Paul Rudd. I'm not trying to height shame you, Paul Rudd. I love you. You're funny, but you're kind of a shorter guy.
He is. He's Ant-Man. He's Ant-Man. He's tiny.
See, here is my real concern now with Paul Rudd. Now that we're going down this rabbit hole, and I hate to break some news for you here, Tom. I think Paul Rudd may be coming for your job on the Brazos reboot. Like this is actually what I kind of have this weird suspicion that like at the end of this season, just because this is totally the sort of thing that would happen on this show, like Charles is going to show up the set and they're going to be like, yeah, you weren't really cutting it for us, and they're going to fire him, and Paul Rudd is going to end up being the new Brazos. Like that would just kill me.
That would be amazing. It would be so good.
Well, I think the most important thing right now is that I wish, of course, some of these episodes were giving us like more consistent suspects. I mean, you really pointed out this crease thing, which I never thought about before in the photo. And so we at least have something to go on entering this next one. But like, I really hope this next episode 8, like actually starts to narrow things down just a little bit, because it is like Hulu even put up this whole like website of all these different suspects, and there's like 50 people on there. You guys got to narrow it down a little.
Okay, yeah, that Hulu thing, I'm calling you guys out because like, what the crap? There are people that are in there. You can go like click the doors of these are all the potential suspects. 2 of the suspects are Charles and Oliver, who are clearly not suspects. They were together and we watched them together on the roof. They weren't suspects. They just didn't do it. It was just kind of like, okay, come on. But the gut milk lady, she's one of those doors.
Honestly, if it's gut milk lady, I will take my hat off and applaud you, Jess, for
It's
for
not
5 days straight if that happens, because I am just that would be incredible on so many levels. But yes, I do agree. Wrapping it up soon, or narrowing it down at least, would be nice, because that cliffhanger, of course, with the picture and the blackout, makes me think that next week's episode is going to be quite intense. I mean, it's a citywide blackout. Come on, like, it's not going to be something like it's over in 5 minutes. That's going to carry on the entire episode.
For sure.
So
Citywide blackouts are pretty scary. I had one when I was living up in Toronto like decades ago, where nothing was working. Like it was just everything was down. I had to walk like 4 hours back from work because like subways weren't running, nothing. And it just went on all night. It was pretty crazy.
Right, and I think it's going to be a situation in which the killer, or at least the people who are involved, because I'm led to believe that there's more than one. I think it's going to be an opportunity now that the power's out for them to potentially try and frame Mabel more, or just try and just pinned, because Mabel seems to be that she's becoming the scapegoat at this point, because it's kind of off Charles and Oliver now. So Mabel's the one who's getting all the heat. So I think this is definitely going to be an interesting episode, with people definitely pinning more stuff on Mabel. And I'm sure I can totally imagine as well, like the cliffhanger at the end of this episode is, the power comes back on and then someone's caught in the act doing something, then the episode ends, and then where oh my god, I could speculate all day about it. I'm just so excited.
Well, thank you so much for coming and talking theories with us. We really appreciate your time. We know how busy you are with Big Brother. You are a king over there with all the feed live updates, plus your just lives. Like, you are doing so much over there on TV Talks with Tom. It's great. And we will link both of Tom's channels for you in the description. So we really hope that you guys will go over, sub to his channels.
All right, well,
Thank you so much. I've had an absolute pleasure. It's been an absolute pleasure being here. Thank you so much for having me. I have had an amazing time. It's so much fun to speculate as well. And
Yeah.
I can't wait for next week's episode.
Oh, I know. If the gut milk lady did it, I will drink a full gut milk in one of these videos while it's happening.
Oh,
I can say this because gut milk's not real, and there's no way they can actually do this to me. Okay, well, anyway, thank you so much, Tom. This has been a blast, and yeah, we will see all you guys here next time.